Kumar, on the India response reiterated today in a conversation between Prime Minister Modi and Benjamin Netanyahu. There are the details on Twitter from Prime Minister Modi, once again unequivocally condemning terrorism and saying that the people of India stand firmly with Israel. However, while we usually have a national consensus on foreign policy, we have not seen that in the statements of the Congress party. How do you see the Indian response? Of course, India has traveled a long way from the time of photographs of Indira Gandhi and Yasser Arafat. But once again, it's important to remind our audience that the Palestinian Authority and the Hamas are not interchangeable nomenclatures. Go ahead, Dr. Mohan Kumar.
So thank you very much for having me. I think my way of looking at it is that we are now addressing two different audiences. Late December 2022, there was a UN meeting in which the permanent representative of India to the UN demonstrated a commitment to a two-state solution to the Palestinian aspirations. So we have decided that is the forum in which you can talk about Palestinian two-state solution aspirations, etc. This is a time at which we have an important strategic partner which is literally going through hell. And I think the Prime Minister and the PMO and the government have decided that this bilateral relationship is what should be at play on this particular occasion. They're going through a very, very terrible period. And I thought the relationship between India and Israel has become so important for India anyway, and for Israel as well, that I thought it was natural for the Indian Prime Minister to say what he said. Maybe at a different era, 10, 15 years ago, you would have done that and maybe asked your spokesperson also to say, we recognize aspirations of the Palestinian people and we support a two-state solution. That is, I think, the change that has happened. We will say those things at a United Nations meeting on the subject, but on this particular occasion, we will allow this relationship to actually get the importance it deserves.
And in that shift from a hardwired earlier diplomatic position, reiterating the recognition of two states, but that did not find mention in the two public comments made by the Prime Minister. Do you believe that the government has, in a way, done the smart thing, but also done something that reflects, I think, the mood of a large, or I would even say an overwhelming majority of Indians today?
I totally think so, frankly. I think this is supported by most people in India. There may be some people who are interested in nostalgia, who may be interested in saying that, listen, we had a commitment to the Palestinian cause and so on. That change, I think, happened during Mr. Narasimha Rao's time. I merely think Prime Minister Modi has taken this to the next level. It happened, I think, when he visited Israel. Since then, I think there is too much at stake, Barka, in the relationship between Israel and India. I think there are enough experts here who can tell you, but I do believe the relationship has become terribly important for India. And I don't think it's possible anymore to indulge in a game of false moral equivalence where we keep saying both. And I don't think that's neither here nor there. So I actually welcome the clarity in our position. And I think that's good for the relationship between India and Israel.
Right. The false moral equivalence is a very important point, because we're still seeing in sections of public expression on social media rationalizations for why the Hamas has done what it has. Ambassador KC Singh, your commentary has not been that convinced, as it were, of the government position. And you have said that, in a way, the Modi government has aligned itself with the Netanyahu government. I want to ask you, do you not think India has expressed solidarity with Israel, not with the Netanyahu administration? In fact, several Israelis have been interviewing over the last 48 hours, have been very critical of Benjamin Netanyahu. And they say there will be questions, we will hold him to account, that time will come. And are you conflating Netanyahu with Israel? Why are you a little skeptical of the Indian position right now?
No, you look at the position which, say, China has taken. Is their relationship with Israel not close? They've taken a very balanced position. You look at the American statement. It's completely thrown its weight behind Israel. But
sorry, I'm interrupting you, because the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, twice reportedly deleted his tweets.
No, I'm not talking of tweets. I'm talking of the written statement of the American, which the Americans issued, which says we stand with the, I think this comes from the White House, which says we stand with Israel. And then towards the end says that ultimately some solutions have to be found, etc. So they've not talked of the two nations. And you know, the relationship between Biden and Netanyahu has not been rosy, not very good. But at this stage, yes, but I think we came out very early. We came out before the others. But because the Indian position historically has been a balanced position, therefore this sticks out, that why has this taken place? But remember one thing, if we say, why has Congress done it? Well, there is the Pegasus question, because there is a feeling amongst the opposition in India that Israel has drawn too close to a particular political party in India. And that closeness is interference in Indian political matters, which no country likes. And Netanyahu, please remember, is aligned with extreme right-wing groups, amongst which is the National Security Minister, who heads an anti-Arab party, amongst which is a hyper-nationalist person who heads the who is the finance minister. And they've been driving the agenda of Netanyahu government. Netanyahu of a previous government is different from Netanyahu of this time.
But sir,
and it is not just me.
Yeah.
Haaretz newspaper, in its editorial, has said, where has this prime minister driven us by adopting this kind of extreme right-wing policy? So there is a thought process in Israel itself. But of course, at the moment, because it's a state of war, they've drawn together even soldiers who have been brought in now who were protesting when the judiciary was under attack. Even they are fighting now. So this is not a moment to be debating that, but certainly, yeah, we would stand with Israel. But to say that, you know, come what may, we'll jump in the well with them, because wait for another 2 weeks. The global opinion is with Israel today. But if they try achieving what they say they want to achieve, which is decapitate Hamas, which means you'll have the population of 2 million people caught between the Israeli army and Hamas, which is hiding and apparently has underground corridors through which it is able to transfer its weapons. Also remember that UN Secretary General has just issued a statement saying we need a humanitarian corridor. You can't have this. So you will see Israel will get a couple of weeks, but if they cannot by then achieve what they say are the objectives, even the global public opinion will change. So it's not good for India to be aligned with Netanyahu. We have to be aligned with the Israeli position, because if Netanyahu is criticized by global opinion, 2 weeks down the line, where does that leave us?
Let me take that to Ambassador Dayal, because as a matter of record, KC, Netanyahu has asked for a national unity government, and that has been agreed to today. So as Israel goes into war, it will not be the Netanyahu government leading Israel into war, but a united Israeli unity government. But that said, Ambassador Dayal, sorry, KC, you're trying to say something? I just wanted to bring in Prabhu Dayal. Sorry,
just one line.
Yeah.
For that to happen, he'll have to sever his links with the right wing. That's what they have said. So,
okay.
But remember one thing, Golda Meir lost her position after the 73 war. Happen what may, because he's not been able to safeguard Israel. Today, Israel is with him. But I don't see his prime ministership, his leadership lasting.
Okay, can I bring in Ambassador Dayal, and then I'll come to General Hasnain. I think you saw two very different perspectives. Dr. Mohan Kumar, who says it's time to end the false moral equivalence. KC saying India is taking a risk here. You're shifting from a historically hardwired sort of middle path. You know, Indian diplomacy reflected a middle path on Russia, Ukraine. India has decided not to do that here. Go ahead, sir. Your thoughts. Which way do you weigh in on this? Which side of the debate do you weigh in on?
Well, I believe that there is a time for every statement. And the present time is one when we have witnessed a horrific attack by Hamas against innocent Israeli civilians. So it is time to condemn that. And the government of India has done that. I'm afraid the Congress party, in its statement, has failed to show the condemnation of the terrorist attack as it ought to have done. This is a time when India should have stood together and condemned terrorism wherever it takes place. We have had a position of standing against terrorism. And in this incident, which was really horrific, we failed to stand together as a nation. We come across divided. Now, of course, you will be discussing the geopolitics of the situation later. But let me just mention that Hamas has made a blunder by carrying out such a terrible terrorist attack. Israel is a much, much stronger power. And unfortunately, Palestinian civilians will be hurt very, very gravely. And we have started to see that happening. Israel will strike back with all its force. The fact that Netanyahu's government is supported by right-wing parties will strengthen his hands in this regard. He will go out all guns blaring. And as I said earlier, the unfortunate sufferers are going to be innocent civilian Palestinians, as indeed the innocent Israeli civilians were the sufferers on account of the horrific terrorist attack. So that is what I have to say.
I think you make